Moisture is the essence of wetness, and wetness is the essence of beauty. This is my art. I determined the art piece to be 2 foot by 1 foot, so I needed to cut my mold out of plastic sheets. Here I am cutting it on the table saw. Next, we need to determine the side length. I measure and then cut on the table saw. I take the side piece and clamp it to my workbench, then scoot over the base and pre-drill holes so I can countersink in screws to hold the sides together. I continue this process for all 4 sides of the mold, pre-drilling and screwing. I then use Gorilla Tape to cover the seams so resin won't flow out of the sides. I unbox all 4,000 Positive Art colored pencils. I fill the mold one at a time. Next, it was time to mix up some resin. It was anyone's guess how much I needed, so I went with a little less than 2 quarts for the first pour. This was just kind of an eyeball job. I poured it on top, let it seep down, and then when I needed more, I mixed up the same amount I did the first time and poured again. I got out the torch and flamed the top, trying to remove any air bubbles I could. It was time to remove the mold. It was anyone's guess at this point if it would work. I had no clue. I popped off the side with a screwdriver, popped off the bottom with a screwdriver, and lo and behold, everything stayed together. It was glorious. Time to resaw. This thing was heavy. The first pass through the bandsaw was just to remove the pokey top. I didn't know if it would stay together through it. Worked out perfect. The second pass was actually cutting out the piece I needed. I was left with about 3/4 inch thick piece of colored pencil sheet. Exactly what I was shooting for. It was time to flatten the slab. The resaw did a pretty good job, but it still wasn't flat. This is where the robot came in handy. And that is one big bit. You can't flatten one side and not flatten the other. I flipped it over, did the same process on the other side. It was time to cut out the letters. I needed to change the bit. Coming out of the mold, it wasn't perfectly square, so I used the CNC to square off the edges. I got some cardboard and I attached that to the underside of the sign. I didn't want the resin pouring out, getting everywhere and blending into the other letters. I'm mixing a small batch of resin into a plastic cup. I mix that up, and then I put in some blue tint to match the blue of the Fuji logo. I carefully poured the blue resin into the word Fuji, making sure not to overfill, but also not to underfill as it settled. It was time to repeat that process with a word spray and black resin. Once again, back over to the CNC. The resin was too high and it needed to be flattened once again. Time to figure out the backlighting. I bought a cheap job, $17 on Amazon, LED strip controlled by a remote control. Time to see if what I did would shine through. Beautiful. My plan was to have the lighting sandwiched between the colored pencil Fuji Spray sign and a piece of wood that would be the backing. Here I am, measuring out the back, and then cutting it. I needed something in between to hold the LED lights and keep them from getting crushed. This was my solution. I cut out circles on the CNC. I arranged them in a pattern, used some hot glue, and then spray painted that black. I just couldn't let the back go without anything on it. I used my laser and lasered on their logo, including my logo with 1 of 1. I applied a light coating of oil onto the back. It was time to route the LED lighting. I just figured out a really good pattern that would give the most light through the whole thing and attached it to the circles using the sticky back on the LED strips. It's not a piece of wall art if you can't hang it. I lined up my router table, put a keyhole router bit into my router, and cut the slot. Dance party. It's time to attach the front onto the base. I used the same glue method. Put the front on, I put a big board down, weighed it down, waited overnight. Time to hang it up and check it out. It was time to add the final clear coat. I got out the Fuji Q5 Platinum system.
Okay, recording.
How does it look?
Hold on. I'm gonna tilt it a little bit. So that... Okay.
Good?
We are good.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead and film it.
Yeah, it's filming.
Okay.
Whoa.
I'm not ready. Look for real.
We got it.
Okay. All right, you ready?
Filming.
Here we go.